One of the mistakes I have made in my spiritual journey is getting distracted by some spiritual concepts and then going down the rabbit hole, trying to find more and more information about them. And that information wasn't helping me at all to progress on my spiritual path. So, to give you an example, I would do deep dives about akashic records or sacred geometry or manifestation or angels and people who are able to channel angels. I have listened to a lot of podcasts where they talk about these topics, and let me know if you have done that as well. And if you have, it's okay. Like, we all have our path and we all have our journey. And sometimes we have to perhaps get distracted to then later be reminded to get back on the path. And I'm not suggesting that, going into these topics is necessarily a bad thing, but I just realized that it was not helping me on my path. Perhaps for somebody else, knowledge of these topics might be their path towards whatever they're searching for. But it became clear to me that my path involves working on myself to let go of my traumas, my triggers, my samskaras, my conditioning, and essentially chipping away at my ego to get out of my own way and to get closer to unconditional joy, where I can be joyful and peaceful regardless of what is happening on the outside. So with my the people around me, my loved ones, the events in my life, the situations in my life, I want my joy to be not conditional on those things. And for me to get there, that involves working on myself, whether it's through meditation, kirtan, journaling, self reflection, all that stuff. So sometimes going down the rabbit holes of researching these topics, like I mentioned before, for me it was sacred geometry, even near death experiences. I listened to a lot of podcasts where people were describing their near death experiences, channelers, angels, even UFOs. There's so many things under the spiritual umbrella that can distract us from doing the work. And sometimes the ego will just hold on to or cling to anything that gives us that provides us an escape from doing the actual work, right? Let me just go down this rabbit hole or that rabbit hole. And for me, I realized that was a waste of time. And the real progress for me was not to gain more and more information on these topics, but it was to do the work, which is to go inside and do the meditation, do the journaling, do the self reflection, do the kirtan. And sometimes doing the work can be hard. And I have talked about how I deal with my heavy emotions in a previous podcast episode. It is hard work. And, feeling the feelings, surrendering to all the difficult emotions, letting them pass through me has been a big part of my spiritual work. And I have benefited a lot by doing that work. And that work is not easy. When I'm having a difficult emotion, instead of sitting with it and fully feeling it and surrendering to it, it can be so tempting to instead just do some research on sacred geometry or near death experiences, right? And that's why I just want to share my experience. So for me, it came down to a point where I unsubscribed from all those podcasts where I was getting all this information from, because I was like, okay, I have learned enough about near death experiences. I have learned enough about akashic records, angels, and people who are able to channel angels. I have learned enough. Now, more and more information, consuming more and more information, is not going to help me progress. What's going to help me progress is to actually go within myself and do the work. So I just wanted to share my experience, in case you are going through something similar and you are finding yourself also going down these rabbit holes and doing your research, and it can feel like doing the work. It can have the appearance of you're doing the work, but there has to be a limit to it, right? At some point, it's okay if you get curious about a subject, and that's what exactly I did as well. It's okay to get curious and want to learn more, but I think at some point you have to say, I think I have consumed enough information, and now let me just go inside myself and do the work.